especially because of the success of the second album, did you? This might sound weird a bit, but did you feel like you've escaped in a way when you were 16 and you had this vision of, oh, we're going to be rock stars, and did you feel like you've arrived in a way?
I think for me it was less of a triumph, and it was escaping. I did feel like I ran and ran and ran and ran and didn't stop running, and lost myself along the way in a few moments here and there. But always came back to this place that the past is behind me and I never want to go back. I have to keep going forward. I have to run. And so with each record was I think trying to get further away. And then you find yourself down a road and you just want to go back. And I think with this record it was really interesting because we did kind of get back to a certain place.
Yeah, I think on this record we definitely got back to kind of maybe where we started.
You run from something and someone, and then you realize you want to go back to that person, and it's really it's an interesting full circle thing that happens. I think that's life.
And well, how important was it? And obviously you don't know any better, but to have each other through that process.
I think it's the necessity of our life. Is each other.
Don't know if we would have made it, but we alone.
I could guarantee I probably wouldn't have made it.
Pretty sure I wouldn't.
Well, because you mentioned there were times that you strayed, and obviously everyone does at some point in their life. So what was the thing that pulled you back every time?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I'm lucky because we have a connection that will never be broken, and so there's a bond there that'll always. I'm tethered to him, so. I can never go so far that he can't pull me back in, or vice versa. It's unique when you have that relationship with someone.
It's a strength, yeah.
Yeah. So no matter how lost I could be, I always had someone that was like, come back over here to the center and we'll figure it out, and we always do.
Was there ever a moment you thought the band wouldn't go on?
Yes. When we stopped in 2011,
okay.
I was pretty sure that I was done.
How come?
I just didn't... I felt like I had done it all. I felt like I had said everything. I just didn't feel like there was anything left for me to say that I really cared about. And I wanted to go and live my own life, and I didn't want to feel like I was on this kind of treadmill.
I felt like we were disappointed where the band got to as well. Just it felt like it wasn't ours anymore. It felt like it belonged to everyone else, and that we were held to these.
We were everyone else's idea of something.
So like when we would have ideas or when we want to do things, people would go, "You guys can't do that. That's not what you. No one wants to hear that from you." Or that's not. And it was really discouraging. And I think that once you lose that desire to create. Because you feel like you can't or you're not allowed to do what you want to do, and you're really more thinking about trying to please everyone else, it really kills you. And I think that we were pretty disappointed.
I would say I used to be in a band. I'd say that. I used to say that. Those years, like those 4 or 5 years, we were on a break. I actually had this fantasy of being obscure. I just wanted to be obscure. I wanted to go away and be forgotten, and
just live a quiet.
Yeah, and have a coffee shop or something and serve people coffee, and they go, "Oh yeah, he used to be in a band." You know, like I used to have this fantasy, and I look at it now and I know I was just trying to escape. Always just trying to escape. And you realize that it has nothing to do with the band, and it has nothing to do with the wins or the losses. Right? Because everyone has them. You know, people look at your band and they may say like, "Oh, they're just a big band," and you're like, "No, we have wins and losses, and the losses are felt deeper than the wins." You know, you take the losses in a lot easier than you do the wins. And I think what I learned is I was always trying to escape, and what I realized was I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, and I wasn't comfortable with myself, and I didn't love myself enough, and I didn't appreciate just being here now. and just letting everything be. And I think that's where, again, on this record, it's been a real cathartic exercise of honesty and sharing, like, this is who I am on my best day and on my worst day. You know, there's moments where I'm confident. That a lot of that comes from the sources in my life of love, like my wife and my kids and you know, my friends and my real life. And then in my music life, that's a different version of me. And there are those moments where you have great moments, and there are moments where you feel down, where you feel like, again, like what I felt like in 2011, had I had the experience and the perspective I have now, maybe I wouldn't have walked away. I probably would have just said, I'm not feeling inspired. Maybe let me take a break here. Let me go and like see if there's something out there that'll inspire me. Maybe I'll find a cause, or maybe I'll, whatever it is. And I think like you gain that perspective with age and with time, but it's an interesting experience to look back on and go, oh, I just didn't love myself. I was down on myself. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I was, you know, I struggled with things my whole life that hindered me from like low self-esteem or you know, different kinds of things that we all deal with differently. So I think escaping was always what my goal, until I realized like I don't want to escape anymore. I want to be in my real life, and I want to feel the wins, and I want to feel the losses, and I want to just be another person on the planet, having their experience and relating to each other, and kind of not being higher or lower than anyone else, you know.
But well, like you say, this touches upon a lot of the themes on the new record, Generation RX. So, well, what you've just described, to me, it sounds similar to the themes in shadowboxing, where you're looking in the mirror and constantly questioning yourself. And I can imagine, well, I've never been famous, but I can imagine that's exacerbated when you are on that big screen, so to say. So how did you, when was the turning point then for you? And then both of you, I assume.
I think the turning point happened in that process of living my real life and coming to terms with all that stuff. And you know, it's great when you have a family and you're tethered, again, like now I have a bond with more people that all keep me in the center and keep life real, you know. And when you're living in when you're participating in a family unit, and you're being a dad and you're being a husband, life is real.
Yep.
So the things you thought were important are no longer important. It doesn't fucking matter how your album does. You're at home making breakfast, talking to my daughter about something that's important to her. That's the most important thing. And therefore, like, everything else gets really small. And to me, like, right-sized kind of idea of like what all this is. So you can go, it allows you to be, for me, when we decided to make another record, it was an easy choice because it sounded like fun. And I said to Benji, I was like, yeah, that'd be fun, like, especially because we were independent, you know, where Good Charlotte was free and out of all our deals, and we were just in this free space where he was like, hey, what did you think about making a record? And I would be like, could we do it on our own? And he's like, yep. And I was like, could we not go and play the game and play the label game and do the whole big thing, the big show? And he's like, yep. And I was like, sounds like fun. I'd love to do that. So we made that record without any real kind of like, let's go and take over the world or any of that. He was just like, let's go have some fun. We made an album we really liked. It was fun, special to us. And then he was like, do you want to put it out? And I was like, yeah, let's put it out. He was like, do you want to play some shows? And I was like, I'll do 16 shows or something like that, remember? I was like, I'll do 16 shows. I said some crazy number that was just like very specific. And he goes, okay. And we did it. We did. And then each little step along the way, we did the couple shows. And then he was like, do you want to do a few more shows? And I was like, yeah, I'll do 5 more. We did those. And then like at the end of that process, we had played like 50, 60 shows.
That was fun, right?
I was like, that was pretty fun. I feel really good about this. And he's like, great. And that was it. And then at the end of last year, we were in Japan, and it was really great because we hadn't been back in a long time. And I was, and again, he was like, "What do you think? Will you go to Japan? One more show?" Like,
it was the end of last summer.
Yeah, he's like, you know, and so we went to Japan. We did these shows, 2 shows. It was great, and it was each little step. I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll do 2 shows. I'll do 3 more," you know, and like, and then he'd go, "You want to go to this place?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, that sounds like fun." And each step of the way, and then by the end of the year, he was like, "I had this album concept. I think we can make this album, you know, this rock record with like I just have this, you know, I don't know what the lyrics are going to be like. You'll have to like," and he had conceptualized this kind of record, and that's where this started. And I was like, "Yeah, let's think about it." And come January, the year was starting back up. He's like, "What would you think about just writing and trying to like bring a couple of these ideas to life?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm down. I'll try it." And we got in the first week there, and shit just started popping off. Like I just started, and Benji was like, "Listen, just go in and like stream of consciousness. None of this matters. Like let's just let it all out.
Don't try.
Don't think about where we need this to go or what it needs to be.
Puke it out."
And I went in and just like let it out, and this record just started writing itself, and it happened rather quickly. And halfway into the record, I said to Benji, I was like, "This is the most fun I've ever had making a record. Feels so good. Like let's buckle it down and like let's zero in on some of these songs and finish them." We started finishing a couple songs, and we wanted to write more. And before you know it, we had 9 songs that we felt were complete. We were like, we looked at each other and we were like, "I think it's done." And I was like, "Yeah, I couldn't imagine one more song on this record." And then, you know, we finished it by April.
And it was kind of like an exercise of like, I wonder what my like subconscious has to say about the shit that I feel or about my experiences. I wonder if I let it, if I'm not getting in the way and I'm just not trying to go, "Ooh, well, we need to do a song like this."
Well, every step of the way in the process was that. I wonder who should produce this. I wonder if we should produce this. Yeah, that sounds right. Let's produce it. So Benj produced the record. I wonder if we should. I wonder who should mix this record.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that guy.
And like each step of the way, it just felt like
natural, you know?
And then
no pressure.
And then we got to the finishing the record, and it was mixed, and we were like, maybe we should like actually.
I think we need a partner for this. I think we need to, you know, find a really good distribution company.
Maybe we should do like a global release again, and go and actually, you know,
do some interviews,
promote this a little bit, and like each step of the way, like
it's been whatever feels right.
Yeah.